find all of our sports coverage at the Washington Times at washingtontimes.com/sports and on social media. It's a special week for golf fans as the Masters returns to the golf world and the golf calendar, the first major of the year. And one of the best instructors in the state of Virginia, the director of golf at Keswick Hall, Rob McNamara, is here to talk about the Masters and some of the updates at Keswick Hall down in Charlottesville. Rob, it's good to see you once again.
George, thank you for having me back. Love always chatting with you, and look forward to having you back here at Keswick Hall real soon.
I appreciate it. Thank you. It's a special week. Made it through the winter finally in Virginia, a colder winter, long winter. I know for some of your members probably who are used to playing and getting some rounds in January and February, it was a little bit more difficult this year, correct?
Tricky time. So it seems to happen about every 6-7 years. You have like the ice out in Virginia where it's just no can do. You have some years where you can play a lot of golf. This year we went basically 5 weeks with no action. It was nuts.
Oh, it's crazy. It's finally thawed. It's finally melted.
It's popping right now. It is popping. You should see how pretty this place looks with the dogwoods, the red buds. The grass is greening up. It's wonderful.
It should shape up to be a beautiful week down in Augusta as well. In your playing career as an amateur, you got close to playing in the Masters one year, correct?
You know how to hurt a guy, George. I did. I stopped in at that Shell station and loaded up the gas. Back when I was playing amateur golf, people that were semifinalists in the U.S. Amateur got in the Masters. And I went through the first 3 matches of the U.S. Amateur. I won all 3 matches, 4-3. I beat Dudley Hart. I beat Glenn Day. I beat some other guy. I don't even remember his name. Sorry if you're listening out there. I don't mean to offend you that I didn't take note of you. I was focused. And then all of a sudden I started thinking, wow, if I win tomorrow, I'm going to play in the Masters. I'm going to get an invitation to the Masters. And honestly, I choked like a dog. I was pitiful. It was bad. I got beat 3-1 by Steve Ford, who's a great guy. He played college golf at Georgia Southern, turned professional, played pro golf, never quite got to the next level the guy could play. But anyway, he made it, and I sit and watch and try not to think about it. I need therapy. Just have to laugh. When something really hurts bad, you can only laugh or cry. Too old. I'm too old to cry about it, so I just laugh about it.
Not there as a player in the tournament, but you have had the chance to play the course, play Augusta National. Bill Battle, a name may be familiar to some golf folks in the state of Virginia, UVA grad, Charlottesville native, was president of the USGA. Courtesy of him, you got the chance to play Augusta a few times. That's correct? That is correct.
Mr. Battle was a great influence in my life. He was one of my life mentors that really helped me. And I knew he was a member, but I would have never asked, hey, can I come with you to Augusta? I was the head pro at Farmington. I knew better to ever even hint around that subject. So finally, he said, hey, I need you to give me a ride to Florida. I said, that'd be great. I'm happy to do that. In the wintertime, the first time was going to be in November. I said, I'll happily drive you down there. He goes, yeah, we're going to drive down and we'll stop someplace along the way. And then we'll go to Seminole and we'll stay a couple of days at my place in South Florida. And then I'll fly you home. I just need you to get my car there. I said, great. And I never said one word. And I was kind of just being coy, right? Mm-hmm. He goes, we're going to stop in Georgia. So that sounds like a perfect kind of halfway spot. He goes, we're going to stop in Augusta. I said, oh, really? He goes, yeah, would you like to play Augusta National and stay there and meet my son Bobby and his friend? And the next thing you know, we had it all worked out. We stayed for a few days and played golf. And then I got to bring him back home and did that a few times. And it was just an awesome experience. The cheapest thing, though, I made an eagle. We would play one round from the member tees. This was post Tiger Woods tiger proofing of the golf
lengthening
course.
Yeah.
But it was also not what I would call Mac Daddy maxed out like it is now. Let's say in round numbers, the yardage at that point was about 7,200 yards. Mm-hmm. But the 15th hole was what it is now. It's like 550. and I crushed the drive. I mean, I could not hit it any further. This was in the afternoon. We played the member tees in the morning. We'd go have lunch. He'd go take a nap, then we'd come back. And Bobby and his friend and I would play, Bob Sofferman, we'd play in the afternoon. And then Mr. Battle would come out in a cart and watch us play the back nine. So we're on 15. I hit driver 4-iron over the green. I cannot believe I hit a golf ball that far because I am so short. I could always hit it straight, but I just didn't hit it very far. It must have hit a rock or a sprinkler head or something, So maybe a maintenance guy picked it up and threw it over that hill. I don't know, but I knocked 4-iron over the green, and the flag's on that back right hole location. I chip it in, make the eagle, and I was too cheap to buy the crystal goblet for $180. It's like, no more. I'm tired of being cheap in life, Big regrets.
Oh my goodness. I saw an interview this week. I forget the golfer who's made a couple eagles there, but he says his friends use the goblets for drinks and things like that after the fact.
Yeah. Here I had a chance to get one. They're going to charge you, but that was a tradition. When you play as a guest, you're supposed to buy the goblet. Not only am I too green to burn, I was too broke.
I haven't seen it and experienced it there. We see everything during the week, Rob. There's the build up and how the reverence people have for it, and obviously it's tradition laden, right? It retains kind of a piece of Americana that used to exist that doesn't anymore in a lot of ways. But from the golf perspective, what makes it so special? Is there something unique that you can convey that people might not get just by watching it on television?
Well, the obvious one that everybody talks about that's ever gone there is the elevation change. You cannot believe how up and down that golf course is. The other thing I would say, people have no idea how hard the 18th hole is. They have no idea how hard the 7th hole is, how hard the 17th hole is. There are some holes that are they're narrow. I mean, I had played after they went in there and put some of those trees. They've even done it to number 11. Number 11 in the glory days, you could hit it anywhere out there. Now that thing, I played it after they planted all those trees. There's no room out there. But number 7 is the one you walk away saying, if number 7 were on any other hole, on any other golf course that you ever played, you'd say, this is the hardest hole on this golf course. And it's number 7 in the glory days, like prior to the Tiger proofing of 97. After that, people would hit, they'd hit like a de facto hybrid off the tee and have a pitching wedge. It was like 365. The hole was a nothing hole. You would lay up, and the second shot's uphill and a little thin green, wide but narrow, deep. I mean, like number 12 is that way. Number 12 is very narrow front to back. But you were hitting a sand wedge, and now you're ripping 5-iron, 6-iron, 7-iron, and these guys hit 7-iron 190 yards now. So, or you try to hit driver, and even though they can hit it 300 yards, it's so narrow up there. You're in the woods a lot of times. It seems like there's a lot of guys hitting it from the woods, and their trouble play is incredible. But those are the golf course things. The experience is next level. I mean, the class. This has got to be I cannot believe there's a better sporting event on the planet than the Masters. I'm a golf course operator. We all try to, I worked at Farmington. We're here at Keswick. We have a first class operation, but it's hard to beat no budget. It's hard to out hospitality, no budget, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
At some point your budget dictates your level of hospitality, short of, let me say it this way. It dictates your level of service. Hospitality is how you make people feel. And we try to make everybody feel good and make everybody feel special and important, because they all are. But I will tell you that when it comes to providing a level of service, they've got pretty much everything buttoned up.
I don't mean to cheapen it by equating it to Disney, but people in the service industry or theme parks or they're all chasing a Disney standard, right? With how Disney's level of service is, and in golf, you're chasing the Augusta National standard of providing that level of service to everyone. The narrowness is always interesting to me, Rob, because that's kind of like just watching it on TV. Man, 18 just feels like a canyon of trees off the tee box. And then you see some of the women's amateur, which was played there. last week, those ladies when they're hitting their tee shots and just like hoping to see if that ball, cleared those trees getting out of there off the tee box. It looks narrow on television. I imagine it feels narrower in person when you're actually standing on the turf.
If you're a big curver of the ball, either direction, especially if you're a drawer, you run the risk of clipping those pine trees big time. And frankly, I can tell you that a good player, a good club pro, a good club amateur, scratch golfers, anybody over the age of 40, I can assure you, from the very back tee has got to nut it to get it to the fairway. Forget about getting it up that hill where those guys are driving it. I'm talking about just to get it to the fairway. You got to hit it 250 in the air. It's a long way.
The guys that can hit it 250 and more in the air will take to the course this week. Can you handicap this field for me? And it's kind of interesting, and just, watching some of these lead up tournaments, watching the Players a few weeks ago that Cam Young won. JJ Spawn, last year's U.S. Open champion, won in Texas here in the lead up. And you've got what kind of feels, Rob, like I don't want to say wide open, but there's no kind of like designated person that is going to claim the altar, right? Rory last year, incredible, comes back on Sunday, wins in the playoff, beats Justin Rose. Justin Rose lost twice in a playoff now at the Masters. Could he still be hanging around? But you've got, when you've got Morikawa, who was a leading contender at the Players. He's been battling the back injuries, says he's going to play through it this week. Of course, Scottie Scheffler is the world number one, but birth of his second child recently, and so he's not played in tournaments. And then we add in, as we do in this current era of golf, where we've got Bryson DeChambeau, Jon Rahm, who are on the LIV Tour playing in the Masters again. Bryson's been in the top 6 in the last couple of years. Rahm, of course, has won it. It feels like there's a lot of people that could come out of this field, not necessarily as a surprise, but it just feels like the top level of contenders is more wide open than perhaps it has been in recent years.
I watched the Golf Channel last night and heard Brandel Chambly articulate on this a little bit. I think the thing that people are missing a little bit, I'm from Kentucky originally and was always into horse racing, loved the ponies. And there is an element of horses for courses, which is totally legit. And so that's something not to discount. But once it rains in a horse racing event, then you run it on the slop, you run it on the mud, and things change. Well, the opposite of rain is dry. So if you look at the forecast where we are right now, a very high pressure system over this eastern part of the country, and it's only going to get drier and windier and hotter. And I realize they can always turn on the sprinkler heads, but you can't beat Mother Nature. I don't care how good your sub-air system is. So the years that they have dry, firm conditions, go back, it's funny who wins. Zach Johnson won, Mike Weir won, Danny Willett won. You have guys that hit it short and straight and were good wedge players. So that throws a whole wrinkle at the examination of this, if you ask me. And let me ask you a question. Do people gamble that listen to this podcast? Do you have gamblers or people looking for some inside scoop?
Can't confirm, but some of them may. So, yeah.
It's legal in Virginia. We should point that out.
Yep.
It's not like we're breaking the law here. Correct. Okay. Okay, let's be clear.
We got the casino. You can go in person to National Harbor in Maryland, too, if you want to make bets in person. Yeah.
Okay, so let's just talk about the action. If you're a gambler, and you want to take Bryson DeChambeau at 11-1, you can have him. If the ground's hard as a rock, all of a sudden distance is not a value. That's what people don't get. If it's soft and it rains, absolutely, I'm taking those bombers all day long because they bought and run into trouble.
Stick, yeah.
So I am going to go with people that have a good wedge game, somebody that's a seasoned veteran there. I'm going to go for not necessarily. I don't know the guy. I'm not even going to judge him on his reputation. But as a horse player, I'm going to put my horse player bet in for everybody. Patrick Reed, 42-1. That's your blue plate special from the pro from Kokomo here, okay?
Okay. Seeing his name come up and him working his way back to the PGA Tour through the DP Tour route, so he'll be back on the tour full time in the fall is interesting. Another when you say, and I had that as my notes there, the weather forecast being like everybody's excited, wow, how pretty and beautiful it is, because there is kind of generally in those early rounds one of those just rainy Masters days, right?
And softens the place up. That's not happening this year.
Yeah. When you say dried out, I think of Brooks Koepka, and I want to, was it Shinnecock when he won that U.S. Open where the ball was so skittering all over the place, like a pebble on the ground, like a marble on the ground, and could he work again? Another live golfer who's worked his way back into the PGA Tour now. Could that be a boon for him? But I like Patrick Reed. I've heard his name a lot this week.
Patrick Reed at 42-1 is the pros blue plate. Koepka, it's been interesting to watch his journey. You know, especially if you've watched the Netflix series on Full Swing, you walk away thinking this guy just doesn't like golf anymore. And maybe somewhere, and believe me, I throw no stones. I have yo-yoed with this love-hate thing I have for golf sometimes. When you start playing poorly, you'd rather go to the dentist and have your teeth extracted without Novocaine. But he's played a lot of golf since he's come back, and he seems to be honing in. I think his odds were around the 30-1, 40-1 range as well. They're up there. I don't think they're as high as Patrick Reed's. Can't pull it up while I'm sitting here talking to you, but certainly something to think about. And the guy definitely is a gamer if he can get his inner demons out of his soul. But I'm gonna stick with Patrick Reed. The guy's won 3 times this year. That's my horse. I've got a little light cheese bet on him.
Could he be a 2-time Masters champion? We'll find out by Sunday when the weekend ends. Let's transition close to home there at Keswick Hall, just outside of Charlottesville. And on the women's tour, on the women's side of the game, I was going to talk to you already about Keswick's partnership signed last year with Lauren Coughlin as the official touring pro of Keswick Hall. And then she went out and bested a ridiculously strong field at Shadow Creek to win the Aramco this past weekend. 7 under, 5-shot winner over Nelly Korda. Led wire to wire, just played solid golf the entire weekend in a course that doesn't lend itself to many scores under par. She was able to finish her week at 7 under. Talk about the partnership with her. I assume it was pretty easy to make that connection as a lifelong Central Virginia, Charlottesville native that she is, a UVA graduate, was ACC Golfer of the Year twice. And now in her pro career now, it's been a joy to watch her journey, because she's talked about at times that, how long am I going to continue? Should I continue to do this? And broke through a couple years ago, got the Solheim Cup nod, and now her 3rd win out in Las Vegas, and her 1st in the United States too, which is quite impressive.
Well, plus she won with Andrew Novak in the Grant Thornton, the team-player
competition.
Team. Yeah. So she's actually won before, so that she's just won her first LPGA event in this country. Winner of the Canadian Open, winner of the Scottish Open, and now this event in Vegas at the most expensive golf course in the country to play. I mean, that's $1,500 green fee plus the caddy. That's a nasty number. That's $100 a hole where I come from by the time you pay the caddy. That's $25 a shot if you're shooting ball 4s.
Oh, man.
It's expensive. Anyway, she is more than a great golfer. She's a great person, great gal. We're so happy for her. We're proud of her. We're fortunate to have her be part of our team, and to see her journey and just be there to be supportive of that. And having known Lauren since she was, early in her college career at UVA, and seeing her development, most people would have quit. Somewhere along my life journey of golf, I melded in. I didn't have her fortitude to stay with it. So I have tons of respect for her, and I'm happy for her. And I'm also tickled for Keswick Hall and Keswick Club to be partnered up and get our name out there. And I had 25 texts, people watching the telecast texting me, what in the world? They didn't know that we had this deal, or maybe some of them did. I don't know, but it was nice.
Yeah, the Keswick logo on her collar sleeve there throughout the whole tournament. So it's awesome to see. And she'll be back in Central Virginia soon to hopefully get to celebrate with you guys there at the course. And speaking of the course, Rob, we'll close out with these renovations, these upgrades that have happened over the course of the last year. Scott Sherman, in the vein, a disciple of Pete Dye, who designed Full Cry there. 4 different holes, but also just kind of refreshing it a little bit while still keeping it in line with Pete Dye's original design for the course.
Yeah, Scott, we began our partnership with Scott. We were really examining whether or not it all started. We had a situation that we were just wanted to take a look at one hole and make sure that it kind of complied. We had a little issue with something, and he came out and had a design, and we looked at it and we said, okay, let's redo this hole. And while we were doing it, what other holes do we have, things that we could dress up and make nicer that Pete kind of may have been softer than he wanted to be. And next thing you know, we've now completely redone 5 holes. We have touched up 14 of the 18 holes. And touched up just means we might just change the mow line, made it fairway around the green instead of rough. I mean, little things like that added a tee box here or there to tiger-proof our golf course, so to speak. And so it's just made the course really, really tremendous and a much more fun. Not many people know this about Pete Dye, and it's fascinating. And Scott was really educated me on this. He did 82 golf courses. We were the 81st of the 82. The first 30 courses that Pete Dye did, in round numbers here, of course, were the extreme. They had the extreme Pete Dye difficulty features. The next 30, somewhere he kind of got softer, but they still were demonstrative features that just a lot of railroad ties, planks, etc. The last 20 or so, he became much more passive. And what Scott said, there's a whole movement of those last 20 to kind of upgrade their course and make it a little bit more Pete Dye look. And that's all we did. We just added some features where you walk away without any equivocation knowing that this was a Pete Dye golf course. And I think we're ranked about 3rd best course in Virginia that you could play. We're a top 75 resort course in the country, which in and of itself is kind of amazing considering how many golf courses have been built in the last 5 years, that all this new money coming after golf, and we're still very relevant. And our owner, Molly Hardy, has just been a huge supporter of golf, and it's really important and passionate for her to make our golf course great. Her family owns the Kiowa Island Resort. They own Sea Pines Resort. She's no stranger to great golf, and it's been fun to be part of her team to help move the ball forward with that.
It's a spectacular venue. Get there, see it, enjoy, couple it with a visit to Monticello, to a winery in Virginia. There's plenty to do in Central Virginia, not too far from the DMV and from the DC area. I appreciate the time as always, Rob, Director of Golf, General Manager of the Keswick Club, Rob McNamara. It's a pleasure as always to have you on, and thank you for your time.
George, thank you so much. I look forward to having you down here, and I tell all your viewers that our door is always open. We'd love to have them and show them great hospitality and a great golf adventure and just a great experience just to relax and enjoy life. Come on down.
Absolutely. Thanks, Rob.
Thank you so much.
Located just outside of Charlottesville in Keswick, Virginia, Keswick Hall is only a little more than a 2-hour drive from the district and most of the DMV, and home to Full Cry, a recent Golf Digest Editor's Choice Award honoree as one of the best golf resorts in the Americas. Visit keswick.com for bookings and more information. The 90th Masters Tournament takes place in Augusta, Georgia from April 9th through April 12th. Northern Ireland's Rory McIlroy is the defending champion after his win in a playoff last year made him only the 6th golfer ever to complete the career Grand Slam. You can find District of Sports wherever you get your podcasts. Just search District of Sports in your favorite podcast app. And you can find all of our sports coverage of the Washington Times online at WashingtonTimes.com and at Wash Times Sports on social media. I'm George Gerbo. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.